The film begins by showing a lively musical performance by a famous band called the Rusty Buckets, where the band consists of 3 members, a pony named Thelma as the vocalist, a donkey named Otis as the guitarist, and a llama named Reggie as the drummer. At that moment, they are performing at the prestigious music event Sparklepalooza. While there, Thelma performs a stage diving stunt, but instead of diving into the audience, she jumps into a pile of hay. It turns out Thelma, Otis, and Reggie are rehearsing for an audition tomorrow, the next day, before the audition. Thelma works on a farm with Otis, where they discuss the audition with Thelma being ambitious to perform at a good venue. Unlike Otis, who is just happy to play music with her because he knows she enjoys writing lyrics. Suddenly, Thelma gets distracted by the latest music video from Nikki, a singing. Nikki, amazingly, she often performs at Sparklepalooza, which makes Thelma envious of her success. Later, the returns to work as a dung carrier where she has to pass through the neighboring farm, and her rival, Zirconia the horse. Unfortunately, Thelma stumbled, which made Zirconia and her friends laugh at her. Even worse, they also belittled Thelma, because a pony seemed unlikely to sing at the audition. Not long after the talent search audition for Sparklepalooza begins, where Zirconia and her team perform a horse dance, earning a perfect score. After that, it's the Rusty Buckets' turn. But before performing, Thelma greets the audience and the judges. However, the judges suddenly eject them without even evaluating their performance. The judges don't think the Rusty Buckets, especially Thelma, the regular farm pony, are anything special. Unfortunately, when she tries to explain, she trips and feels really embarrassed. So she runs away. Even a video of her tripping spreads all over the internet. After that, Otis tries to make Thelma feel better by giving her a boy. He made himself at that moment. Otis makes a board game called Dungeon and Wagons, where he picks the role of a warlord character and chooses Thelma to be the pioneer pony character. However, Thelma wants to be a unicorn, but he doesn't let her in. The end, Thelma doesn't want to play because she is still sad about what the judge has said about her looks. But to Otis, Thelma is already perfect. The next day, Thelma works as usual. However, she still feels jealous of Zirconia, who passed the audition. Suddenly, Thelma finds a carrot and gets the idea to attach it to her forehead, pretending to be a unicorn. Unfortunately, Otis sees her doing this. Still, Thelma is happy to have a horn while they are talking. A truck carrying paint passes by and spills paint on Thelma. Strangely, the paint turns her into a beautiful unicorn. Thelma is very happy with how she looks now and asks Otis to take a picture of her to post on social media. At the same time, a girl named Susie sees Thelma from a distance and gets very excited as she really wants a photo with the unicorn, seeing how happy Susie was. Thelma couldn't refuse her request. After the photo people gather to see Thelma, they are amazed to see a real unicorn and start to ask her strange questions, not wanting to disappoint the audience. Thelma claims to be a singing unicorn. As a result, Thelma sings, accompanied by Otis and Reggie. Eventually, everyone loves Thelma the unicorn, and even TV broadcasts cover it. Not stopping there, her singing video also went viral worldwide, where her performance was greeted with enthusiastic applause. After that, Thelma thanked the people who watched her. After that, Otis told her to remove the paint from her body. However, Thelma refused, because she didn't want to lose this attention and fame. On the other side, the Pool Boy Trio, consisting of background dancers, Nikki, were dancing until they were reprimanded by Nikki's assistant named Megan. After that, Megan informed Nikki of her schedule and activities for the day. Shortly after, Vic Diamond, Nikki's manager, appeared. He brought bad news about her show, which didn't have many people. Even her latest song only reached the top 100, showing that Nikki's fame was fading right away. She told Vic to handle it because she didn't want to worry about it. Suddenly, Vic noticed something interesting. Meanwhile, Thelma and Otis were busy playing Dungeon and Wagons until she heard music coming from the band's practice place. They go to check it out, only to be shocked to see it's Peggy Pursue, the legendary music producer. She showed up with her husband to see Thelma because the song she sang today is something she has never heard of in her life. Thelma reveals to have written the song since when she was young, but never have she gotten the chance to play it in front of anybody. To Thelma and her band excitement, Peggy Piss tells them to join her record studio. Peggy Piss actually stopped producing music after she went blind, but she believes Thelma could be her comeback. Just as Peggy takes Thelma and her band to her studio, they begin to work on a song all night. Peggy later receives a call from Vic, who tells her his reason for calling is to make her and the singing unicorn offer the offer of being the opening of Nicki's show tonight. Peggy doesn't even want to have anything to do with Vic, knowing the kind of person he is. But upon realizing that she could be the only one standing in the way of Thelma's success, she decides to tell Thelma about this offer, which of course she agrees to, because it wouldn't want to be an opening for one of the most famous celebrity in town. Vic shows up with his private jet and picked them up. Here is when things started to go differently for Thelma and her band. Vic puts Thelma in the same limo with him, while her band and Peggy is placed in a different limo. On their way, Vic sends a missile to damage the limo of Thelma's band, so he can go to the show with Thelma alone. On the other hand, Nicki is upset that her manager Vic wants to use Thelma to sell tickets on her own show, not having any clue that her music is getting bad when it's time for Thelma to do her opening. She looks around for her band, not wanting to do this without them, but Vic makes up a lie saying they abandoned her. This is an opportunity she wouldn't let pass her by, so she does the opening song, and of course people loved her music. Nicki grows jealous of Thelma and is more angry when Vic used the fireworks that was supposed to be used for her song, Four's Thelma. Song ending, Vic tells Nicki that he will no longer be her manager anymore, as he wants to work as someone flourishing, which is Thelma. Out of anger and jealousy, Nicki chases Thelma off her stage, but when she tries to sing, the crowd boo, lose her and ask for Thelma instead. Vic tells Thelma that he is going to turn her to the biggest star on the planet, but if she stays with a music producer like Peggy, she will never make it to Sparklepalooza. The biggest stage in the world. Working with him will guarantee her being on that show someday. Thelma forgets about her crew and Peggy and decides to sign with Vic, just as she is about to take off with Vic on her new helicopter. Otis calls her from the crowd and asks her why she performed without them. Thelma lashes him out, thinking they abandoned her. Even when Otis explained how it blew up their car, Thelma thinks he just made up the story. When Otis tells her that she is screwing everything up by pretending to be someone else, Thelma gets angry and separates from her crew. Meanwhile, Nicki is so mad because Thelma is about to replace her as the biggest star in the music industry, and tells her assistant that the only way they can get back on top is if they destroy Thelma. She isn't talking about killing, but she wants her assistant find out about a dirty secret about Thelma so she can expose it to the world to ruin her forever. On the other hand, Thelma is starting to think she has made a huge mistake because she shouldn't have left her band and Peggy like that. Thelma decides to reveal to Vic her secret. She reveals that she's not actually a real unicorn. But to Thelma's surprise, Vic doesn't care. He reveals to her that his teeth is fake and explains that the most important thing in the music industry is how you look. He tells her his backstory on when he was a boy. No girl wanted to date him because of how he looks. That's when he knew that if he wants to be somebody, he has to be somebody. By doing so, he changes his name from Dick to Vic, which turned him into a mover and a star maker to increase Thelma fame and success. Vic wants her to collaborate with another star who calls himself Danny Stallion, VideoTube star, who got famous for his chewing cod videos. He tells them to fake a relationship just to be getting the public attention all the time. The scene then changes to Otis, who imagines himself to be the most fearsome warrior called Duck Judge. With Thelma by his side, they were able to defeat the goblins who were bent on destroying the world. Like I said, it's just an imagination, as Otis misses Thelma so much. Otis is heartbroken when Reggie informs him that Thelma has gotten a new bandmate. Vic takes Thelma and Danny Stallion to his huge sellout record, where every music they make here sells out immediately. But Thelma drops from happy to disappointed when Vic tells her that he won't be making use of any of her written song, but instead, an artificial intelligence is going to do that for them. The artificial intelligence gives them a lyrics for their new song, and they went to shoot it immediately. Song title is called The Here Comes the Cud, with which is a song sang by Danny Stallion, featuring Thelma in it. Otis and the rest of Thelma's former band watches the song on TV, and the look on their face says, the song becomes so popular that it entered #1 in the Billboard, and people becomes a crazy fan of Thelma that they drew tattoos of unicorn on their body, and some even do other weird stuff to look like Thelma. The song made a huge money for Vic, and they sold a whole lot of merchandise. But Thelma at the end isn't happy because none of this is about her being herself, and she doesn't even use her lyrics. She misses her friends so much at a point that she wanted to give Otis a call. But this is interrupted by Vic, who gives a good news that cheers her up again. She has been invited to perform at Sparkle in 2 weeks later that night. Hollywood hosts a show where the best musicians will be awarded, and Thelma is nominated for this award during the award show. Vic notices the unicorn paint on Thelma's face is fading away, so he tells her to run to the restroom to repaint the area, as Thelma does. So she gets confronted by Nikki's assistant, who reveals to know her secret of Thelma not being a real unicorn. She will do anything to get her boss Nikki back on top, so she pours a bucket of water on Thelma, which washes off her unicorn disguise. Menacingly, she uses her phone to video Thelma so she can show the world that Thelma is not actually a unicorn. Thelma begs her not to post the video, and in return, she will disappear or never hear from her again. Nikki's assistant accepts the deal, but threatens on what will happen if she ever shows her face again. Thelma walks out very depressed while Vic goes around looking for her. She wins the Best Music Award for the year, but the audience is shocked to see that she's nowhere to be found. Nikki's assistant informs her of successfully eliminating Thelma in the music industry, which means she will be back on top soon. Vic announces to the crowd that Thelma has gone missing, and this causes a riot in the town, as everyone begins to search for Thelma. Thelma walks really depressed on a desert, and a bus driver who sees her decides to give her a ride. The man tells her how he just got engaged with the woman of his dreams. But the issue is he has been keeping a secret from her. He is a world-famous champion on the underground clogging circuit, but he is afraid to tell his girlfriend the truth on who he really is. Like, what if she hates clogging and totally rejects him? Thelma tells him that if she really loves him, she will love everything he does. No matter what happens, it's going to be better than him, spending the rest of his life living a lie after giving this advice. Thelma realizes it's not too late to fix her problems according to her wishes. The bus driver takes her back to her farm. Otis sees her and hugs her in excitement. She apologizes for abandoning them and decided to still attend the Sparkle to show the world on who the real Thelma is. The Sparkle show begins where millions of people and top celebrities are in attendance. Nikki has placed guards outside the Sparkle show in case Thelma tries to return. The guards catches Thelma and her crew sneaking inside the show, but Peggy unleashes some kung fu moves on them, which gives Thelma and her friends the opportunity to run inside. Nikki's assistant sees Thelma running to the stage from the camp cameras and tries to post the video of Thelma online, but her battery run down. Nikki blocks them as they got so close to the stage, but Thelma accidentally turns on a lift, which made her and her crew access the stage faster. Thelma dresses herself back as a unicorn and appears in front of the crowd with her crew, which made everywhere as quiet as a graveyard. She then removes the unicorn disguise to show everyone her real self, but she ended up getting booed by the crowd. She apologizes, as she thought it will be the only way for people to give her a chance, and decided to share a song. She wrote, since when she was little, people loved her for a real self the more, and they all begin to chant her name. How the amazing movie wraps up. I'd love to hear what you all thought about it. Catch you in the next movie. Thank you.